Peace, 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 and blessings. Vibe Tribe is on once again. It's yours truly, Bakri Jambor, and my beautiful queen, Amani Jambor. We are EY Pele Movement. EY Pele Movement is a ministry where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. We want to thank you all so much for your love and support. For everybody who has went over to the YouTube channel and subscribed, we give thanks. Those of you who follow us on Instagram, EY_Pele_movement. Okay, we give thanks. For those of you who follow us as well, who have joined the private Facebook group, okay, we give thanks. We greatly appreciate all the love and the support. Most importantly, though, it's about impacting your life in a positive way. As I aforementioned, that is our focus on those three major pillars, I like to call them, in your life: your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. We don't claim to be know-it-alls. Okay, we're just on here to share with you our personal journey from religiosity to spirituality. Okay, and we're here to share with you what works for us, right? We're here to share the truths that help to awaken our consciousness, all right? That help us to be broken free from man-made traditions and doctrines and commandments that had us incarcerated. And we recognize what has happened to our people holistically, okay, on a global scale. Wherever colonization has transpired, our people are in a mental sleep, and we're bringing this alarm of truth to wake us all up. All right. So we're excited. Okay. We're looking forward to sharing this information with you. If you haven't already, okay, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please hit that bell. Okay. If you're watching us from Facebook, I believe whether you have an Android or an iPhone, okay, look up in that right-hand corner of that video. Please hit that notification bell if you enjoy this information and it's a blessing to you. Please hit that notification bell so you can know when we're going live. Additionally, invite others that are like-minded. Okay, we don't believe in you sharing it with anyone who you feel like, well, they need to know this. Well, if they're not ready for it, leave it alone. Okay, let spirit deal with them. When they get ready, we know this from personal experience. We have had people come directly to us and start asking us questions. So please respect others' views. That don't mean you don't tell the truth on your own platform, but at least don't invade their space, with what you believe in. Okay? Respect that. All right? All right, because that is EY Pele. Okay? That is gentle character. Not only that, we focus on Ire Riri, EY Riri, which is gentle character. So good and gentle character. Those both are Yoruba words. Okay, so we believe in having a moral foundation. We get ready to dive in. The beautiful queen is getting ready to present the slide presentation. But before we do that, we got a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Okay, my queen, go ahead and bless that mic.
Thank you, my king. Thank you.
Welcome, beautiful.
You know what? I always say I would like to give the highest praise, and that's always gratefulness and thankfulness. And I give thanks to the divine for this another chance to come before you. I want to give thanks to our ancestors and our benevolent ancestors that have gone before us, that have plowed the ground, that have laid the foundation for us. As a matter of fact, they cared so much for us till they left the handwriting on the wall. So I'm grateful for our ancestors. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today as we continue on the spiritual decolonization, what you call message that we have here. And today we're doing lesson 4, episode number 4. Nope. We're doing episode number 5. I'm so sorry. We're doing part 2 of Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension, part 2. But the last episode, episode number 4, Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension, part 1, we looked at the fact that we are multi-dimensional beings existing in multiple aspects of the multiverse. We also stated that when we entered this world, we were given a physical vehicles or bodies to work in. We were also given intuition that connects us with higher forms of knowledge. It was the intuition that gave our ancestors the profound spiritual system that's grounded in monotheism, which is the belief of one creator. It was their intuition that they tapped into the spirit realm in order to bring these things down to the natural. Our physical body has a counterpart that connects body and soul to the spiritual realm, or the unification of the creator within the creator's universal car. We identified them as the Ba, the Ka in Kemetic, the Chi in Igbo, the Ori in Yoruba, and the Okra in Akan. This is the counterpart of the soul that helps us to fulfill our purpose and our destiny and learns life's lessons here. Today, in episode number 5, Divine Consciousness, Pathway to Ascension, part 2, we will be coming from a Twa, Kushite, Kemetic, ancient Egypt perspective. The only way to understand this Kemetic spirituality is to study the spiritual philosophy of the Nubians, which is the Sudans, the Ethiopians, and the Somalians. We will dive a little deeper and go a little deeper from where we left off on last week, and we'll get a better understanding of the netters or the deities of our ancestors to help better understand the principles, the concepts, and the correlations they have with our current lives, right? And I'm just going to have to go over a few things from the last lesson to get a better understanding. Now, last week when I was speaking about the Ba, the Ka, the Chi, or what have you, there were several pictures up on the screen. I didn't go over all of them. I do want to go over this particular screen, and this is the Netcher, Kunum at the Potter's Wheel. I know you heard the Potter wants to put you back together again. Well, this is the Potter's Wheel in ancient Egypt. Ancient, and our Kemetic ancestors already had this on the wall. This would like that, right? So in his book, Spirituality Before Religion, Kaba Kamin points out the ancient Kushite Kemites had a human creation story. They believed that the Netcher, Kum, created man and woman from earthly substance, which was nitrogen, on a potter's wheel. Here we see Kunum, a ram-headed Netcher with 2 figures. Kunum created the spirit, which is the Ka, first, and then the physical body, the Jadet, next. We know this by the closeness of the closest figure to Cumin. I can't point to it, but the Cumin is the ram-headed Netcher on the right, and the figure that's closest to him, we know that that's the last thing that he created, and we know that Cumin having his hands up to the head or the mouth, that particular Netcher or particular figure having their hands up to the mouth. This gesture depicts a child in the Meta Netzer. The other figure was created first because it's the farthest away. So he's saying that the body was created, then, the soul was created, then the body was created next. And I like to think also of the light bulb, right? The light bulb analogy, where you have the light bulb, right? The outside of the light bulb, and you have the brightness on the inside. All of that is the light bulb, but the outside is protected. The inside, which is the light, is protected. Now, this, the light of consciousness is the pattern of the cosmic tabernacle, the universe's holy of holies. The holy place is located on the innermost parts of you, right? So when we were in church and in Christianity, they talked about going into the holy of holies and going behind the veil. They say you go from the outer courts, then you go to the inner courts, and then you go to the holies of holies. The holy place is located in this temple. It is the innermost sacred area. Consciousness allows us to ascend to deeper thoughts that incite our chakras, that incite sensations of vibrational bliss. Even when I was a Christian minister in church and I used to lead the parishioners into worship and just, keep them, meditating and going behind the veil, what we used to say is, picture yourself going from the outer courts to the inner courts to the holy of holies until you get behind the veil. And so it is in this blissful conscious dimension that humans encounter their own unique gifts. Many of these experiences of meditating and getting behind the veil and working on the innermost parts of you, they lead us to become seers, right? You start to be able to see in the realm of the spirit. You start to be able to prophesy. And you start to be able to find higher forms of spirituality. Why? Because you took time to humble yourself, to meditate, to go inwards, to go from the outer courts, to go to the inner courts, to go to the Holy of Holies and behind the veil. Last week, I mentioned that when you enter this higher bliss, you will gain access to the 9 gifts of the Spirit, or the 7 or 9 gifts. The numbers, they vary. And the first gift was divine wisdom, divine knowledge. Number 2, divine knowledge, divine understanding, divine discernment, divine courage. You will experience miracles, healings, faith, and the list goes on, all because you took the time to fortify your spiritual connection with the divine, right? And like I said, you go from the outer courts, you go to the inner courts, you go to the Holy of Holies, right? Until you reach behind the veil. And this is a constant commune that you have with spirit. It's a constant commune where you're gaining strength, where you're attached to source, right? So we're here to ascend, right? We're here to reach higher heights. The law of the lid says that you will only go as high as the person that you're under. Unless you get up from under certain things, you will stunt your growth. You will not be able to grow. So when you ascend from this 3rd dimension and move into a 4th dimension, you'll be able to have spiritual experiences like never before. You'll realize that there is no time, no limits, no constraints. You have the ability to move from dimension to dimension. Even again, when I was in Christianity as the head intercessor, we prayed often that we would go from dimension to dimension, right? I don't know what they prayed at your church, but we prayed that we go into higher realms and from dimension to dimension. But what we didn't realize, that some of the things that we were doing was causing us not to ascend, right? But when we did tap in, those of us that did tap in to the realm of the spirit and had constant contact, we realized, okay, well, I might have to leave here because there's no growth. And some of you may be in that spot right now. I may have to leave. There's no growth. Because I realized on the inside of me that there's higher heights and deeper depths. There's a word out there that needs to be heard, right? So I didn't go over much of the chakras or whatever, but chakras are also an example of moving upward, right? Your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. They're also examples of areas that you need to work on to ascend. You can do your own research on the chakras. I'm not a chakra professional, but this is what this is saying, that you have to do certain things in order to ascend. You got to clean yourself out. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. And then by you cleaning out and taking out things that do not belong, then you're what Erykah Badu say, get rid of them bags. You're a bag lady. Get rid of it. You're going to miss your bus. You're going to miss your ascension by holding on to things. Our ancestors were profoundly monotheistical, believing in one supreme God. I know they say that there are many gods, and I have slipped up and I say gods or whatever, because this word God is not, interpreted right or what have you in our language. When we think, somebody cornered the market on God, first of all. So when we think God, we think of something else than what our ancestors, wanted to relay, right? So this says, Ra said, I formed it, the earth, from the desire in my heart. I laid the foundation through my art. I created forms of every kind. Many were forms issued forth from the commands of my mouth. Not yet have I established Shu, which is the name of a nature. We're going to get to that. Shu, I not yet had I established Shu, the power and principle of light and air, nor set forth Tefnut, the power and principle of moisture. There existed no one who acted together with me. I conceived it in my own heart, and there came into being a vast number of forms of divine beings as forms of offsprings and forms of their offsprings from them. And that came from the Hosea by Dr. Karango. Now, I had to, on this next slide, I had to go over this again. Not sure why it looked like this. Something is odd. But anyways, I had to go over the Neteru again in regards to my explanation. These Neterus or Orisha may be called angels or archangels in the Western world. Neteru or Orisha characteristics are characteristics of the divine creator. Neteru are also the personifying forces that depicted thoughts and ideas about nature. The purpose of the Neteru is to guide humans to make the best choices in life. The Neteru are male and female aspects of nature. Besides the solar Neter, there were earthly and cosmic Neter. The earthly Neteru were represented by stones, trees, animals, symbolic objects, columns and statues, human beings. All were viewed as emanations of the divine creator. The cosmic Neteru were represented by the great force of the universe, such as sky, stars, earth, Geb, Seb. Neteru were personalities or personifying forces that depicted thoughts and ideas about nature. However, the most important aspect of Neteru was the balancing effect they had on good and evil. Humans, by their intentions, chose the netter or nature or of the situation. Okay, so netters are, I mean, it's like, you probably got some body parts on you that you got names for. There's some other things that that you got names for, and that's exactly what a netter is. They're just a characteristics, or they're what do you call it? They're forces of nature, but like shoe, like he said, the moisture. Okay, there's a netter for shoe. There's an actual little being for shoe. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. All right. I needed to touch on mythology right quick because some people don't know that this stuff is a myth. Some people think it's real, meaning that these forces are walking around and things like that. Mythology. The definition of mythology is a body of stories relating the traditional origins and causes of the world, natural forces and phenomena, and cultural developments as that of a particular people or relating to a particular person, right? Mythology, as Mr. Joseph Campbell says, mythology tells us that where you stumble, there is your treasure. The world is a match for us, and we're a match for the world. And where it seems most challenging lies the greatest invitation to find deeper and greater power in ourselves. We're going to touch on that in a minute. But not only did our ancestors speak in mythological languages, did Pictionary, so to speak, you know what I'm saying, in order for us to understand, for them to understand, for them to relay the message. And they relayed these messages also through their holy book. You better know that the one that we call the Bible has what we call allegories and mythological situations. The issue with that is they told us to take this thing literally as if it happened. So now you got folk out there spending their whole life trying to dig up a bone of somebody who never existed. You see what I'm saying? It's like somebody trying to dig up the bone of Osiris or Isis or Asar or Set. You understand what I'm saying? We have to change the way that we look at this thing. We have to change the way that we look at spirituality. You see what I'm saying? We have folk out there fighting, literally fighting and taking land, lying about what exists and what don't exist. You got folk in the Middle East fighting. Your God is bigger than mine. Your God is better than mine. You understand what I'm saying? So these myths are designed to help us with the transformation of our consciousness through trials and revelations. They're there to help us. The story about David is there to help us. The story about Abraham is there to help us. The story about Tahuti and Aset and all the rest of them are there to help us as we go through. So when you think in mythological terms, it erases the anxieties and you can see the value in any given situation. Another way to say this is the myths are to bring you into a level of consciousness which is spiritual. It expresses the concepts in a different way. Like me and my husband, we were looking at the gods of Egypt or what have you. And so, it was a lot of action. We knew that it was mythology or what have you. And see, those fights that they were talking about and they were happening, a lot of them were happening on the inside of us. When they talk about the dragon, they were talking about our ego. That's what's on the inside of us that need to be killed. And when they were talking about all these different animals and all these different situations, they were talking about things that needed to be done on the inside of us. It's likened to a storm or he felt this way, or he was seduced and it was likened to this, all the temptation. They are putting that in a story so you can realize, so you can get a better understanding of what's happening on the inside of you. And then what's good about the mythology is they tell you the end of the story. This is what you need to do in order to correct this, so that you can overcome this situation, so that you can ascend higher. So from my brother, I believe his name is Comedic Centered Living, he say the myths of Egypt were simply a way to express these universal concepts in the form of a story rather than mathematical formulas. Even the origin of the word myth is from the Egyptian mothai, which means wise saying. These sayings are expressing what we would call today as mathematical formulas. They are expressing the interplay of numerology at the foundation of the ancient Kemetic science. The ancients were expressing pure mathematics. Kemetic myth is based upon mathematical formula, or as we say today, universal law. They were based on universal law. Those laws, what goes up must come down. Newton Geb, this is the sky. This is what happens when Geb gets up and walks away, the earth. You know what I'm saying? They express those things. And see, what happened was people get lost in the mythology and the principles, and they lose the perspective on it being a nature or a universal law of nature. This is so with all the gods of ancient Egypt. See, we call them gods again, all in natures. It expresses deeper concepts in a different way. So I had to go over that, all of that, to say that we're going to discuss today. So we needed to get that out the way. You needed to know about mythology. You needed to know about the natures. You need to know, what they were for, and etc. So that we can get to where we're at today. This is the Trinity, right? I'm not going to say it's the original Trinity, because it's not the only Trinity. There's plenty Trinities inside of the Kemetic spiritual system. But this particular Trinity is Asar on the left, Heru in the middle, and Aset on the right. This is mother, father, and child, right? This is what a Trinity is supposed to look like. Mother, father, and child, because in the Kemetic science, where there's a Asar, there's a Aset. Where there's a Amen, there's a Amenet. You see what I'm saying? Where there's a Ra, there's a Ra'et. You see, they believe and they know about dualities. They understand the masculine and the feminine principles, right? They understand balance. And without the other, there's no balance, according to their system. And a certain system that we've been raised upon, they made it an all-boys club. They made it Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a ghost. They took the woman off of the Trinity and put a ghost there. But they also replaces it. You'll see a bird flying around, a dove. But what people don't know is that dove is a representation of the goddess. If you look up the goddess, or if you look up that dove, you'll see that that is a representation of the goddess. See, what they did is they tried to flip it all around, but they left traces and trails of certain things. And we're going to pull that out for you, not today, but we are going to pull that out for you so you can recognize that the colonizer, listen to me what I'm saying, that the colonizer came in and took these concepts and perverted them for their own gain, for their own political gain, for their own financial gain. You see what I'm saying? So that they can have control. Nonetheless, in this Asar, Heru, and Aset, the way the story went is that Asar had a fight with his brother Set. He got cut up into so many pieces, and his pieces were thrown throughout, the world. His wife Isis, or Aset, I'm sorry, she went and she collected the pieces, put them together, and she had to go look with Stylus or whatever, which is his manhood, and sewed it on or whatever she did. She got on it and she made her roux, right? And so Asar, he went down to the underworld. So this Asar principle, this is Asar, your true self, your true, entire, only, and ultimate purpose for being on the earth is the resurrection of the indwelling intelligence, that it may guide your that it may guide your endeavors in life with the same consciousness that it uses to guide your philosophical and your subconscious mental activities. Excuse me, this thing was in the way a little bit. I'm sorry. So we're going to deal with the Asar principle. And as I stated in the story, Asar, he died and was resurrected in a sense, right? He is he's a netter that have died, and he deals with life, death, and regeneration. And that's what the Asar principle is all about. And however, when you come through difficulties, and oftentimes it forces us to gain a new perspective on life. This changes our state of mind and our actions. And in this instance, the new action is caused by the birth of a new perspective. With the change, the old perspective dies. Through the process of changing our perspective, we have to be broken down mentally. There has to be decomposition, and a new perspective needs to be born, right? So that's what this Haru principle is about. It's about dying. It is about resurrection. I believe a little while ago I said Happy Resurrection Sunday. It's because that you are shedding off and you're resurrecting into a better person. These are the cycles of life. This is what happens. Things happen. We shed it off. We become better people, and we resurrect anew. For the ancient Egyptians, everything in the universe was part of the cycle of birth, death, and regeneration. It is a universal principle, be it a thought, a physical body, a plant, a star. They all go through this common practice. And we're still dealing with the Asar principle. The Asar principle is higher consciousness. Higher consciousness. In Kushite Kemetic spiritual science, it is taught that the African is a natural god. However, it's not saying that you were born a god. This is what this individual say. You become a god. In the same way that a seed is potentially a tree, but it cannot call itself a tree until it has dug itself deep into the rich soils of the earth to eat of its nutrients and absorb the rainwater from heaven, and thereby becoming a tree. In this same way, the African is potentially a god, but he has to develop himself into a nature. The Asar principle is present in us every day. Every day we're presented with the opportunity to grow up. It's just like when you shed your dead hair and it's coming off and it regenerates, it grows back. That's the principle that we're dealing with every day daily. I mean, even when you shed your skin on a daily basis, the cells of your skin, this is a regeneration process. This is a resurrecting process. This is what Asar represents. The Asar principle is fundamentally based on the individual's efforts to use each and every day, every life situation as an opportunity to experience his or her divinity. That's some good stuff. When you can take a situation that arises, and some people say, I love a challenge, and use that life situation to come out better. When the dust settles, you're still standing, right? Because you know that this is a part of life. This is the regeneration that goes on and on again. There's death, burial, resurrection as time goes on constantly. That's what this principle is here for. The ancestors knew that this is going to happen constantly, so they took time to give us a mythology in order to show us, look, although you're going to go through a situation, you will rise again. Just hold on. It's a part of life. Those moments are referred to as adversity, serve as a vehicle for everyone to rise above the negative influence. Those emotional responses that are associated with human self-life must be replaced with behavior reflective of divine self-image. Salvation cannot be based on the forgiving of sins after a life of debauchery and mistreatment of others. You can't just go around here. I don't know who told them this. You can't just go around mistreating folk, maiming them, killing them. You know what I'm saying? You need to have a life of like I said, EY, like my husband said, EY Riri, good character. EY Pele, gentle character, right? This principle is about going and returning. When I was a child, I acted as a child, but now I'm a man, I put away childish things. We give up our childhood and become an adult. We die to infantile personalities and psyches, and we come back as a responsible adult. We must go through this. We have got to go through this. And I have preached a sermon once that said, possess ye your soul. Yes, you're going to go through all of this stuff, right? I'm saying all hell going to break loose, but possess ye your soul, meaning maintain your tact. You know what I'm saying? Keep your mind intact, because you're going to go through this stuff. This life was designed to go through this stuff. But as you go through, you got to keep in mind that you have to resurrect. You have to rise up to another level. And these situations are just springboards to propel you to another dimension. So leaving one condition, finding the source of life and bring forward it in another condition, right? You become more whole. You become more mature. You become stronger. You become wiser. We have to take this journey spiritually, psychologically, within us, right? Our lusts and temptations are secondary and must not control this body. We must resist temptation. Why? Because you need to ascend. You need to level up. You don't want to go through this life with the same mindset that you came in. Every opportunity you had to grow, you did not grasp for hope to grow and to become a better person. You know, so we spoke about this plant cycle, and that's just an analogy just to show you what happens. The seed, the germination, the seedling, and the mature plant that comes about. That's what happens in our lives. What happens in our lives. The death of the old me. One rapper say the old me is dead and gone. Was that T.I.? He said the old me is dead and gone. Death of the old me, burial of her. My God, she tried to resurrect the other day. Oh God. And the resurrection of the new me, how you like me now. You see, and that's why we have to maintain, right? We have to maintain and hold on to our soul. We have to maintain and hold on to our dignity and our respect. And I used to, my thing was never let them see you sweat. Never let them see you sweat, right? But if they step on your toe, I don't know. But nonetheless, that was all that I had to say about this Asar principle. just to let you know that it was about life, death, and regeneration and resurrection. And you're going to go through some things. And Asar is here to let you know that you can be resurrected, right? Asar, after he was resurrected, he went to a new position. Now he was over some things. You know what I'm saying? There was one verse say, come on up higher. I'll make you rule over many things. You've been faithful over a few. So he got promoted. You know, he was over a whole world. So that was it. And I do appreciate you guys for coming in and being with us for this Divine Consciousness Pathway to Ascension Part 2. I myself gonna be back next week. My king, he'll tell you, the announcements and things like that. But I hope that you can join us again on next Sunday, where we have more teachings to try, to help you to ascend. Thank you.
As always, powerful session, my queen. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Okay, remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell. Okay, also please make sure that you like and you comment. Okay, so we can reach more people. We can spread this message out here. This is definitely the time for us to embark upon the spiritual journey. There's a lot of people that are waking up. Okay, is it a great falling away, or is it really a great waking up? Well, there is a falling away. It's a falling away from lies. So it's the total opposite of what one quotes that verse in the religious mindset states. Okay, we're not returning into darkness. We're actually returning to the light, because we're waking up and we're finding out who we really are internally, and finding out that externally is not us. So, this spiritual walk is about walking in the spirit. Okay, this ministry is totally about walking in the spirit, and we're going to help you to connect with your divine consciousness, as my queen talked about today, continuously through these African-centered teachings. It is definitely good enough for us. Okay, it is definitely good enough for us. This is going to help us to find our actual mind. It's really beyond the African mind, because really when you start getting more in depth to it, it is stripped of an ethnicity, although the teaching comes from a particular ethnic group, but spirit is spirit. Okay, the word is actually spirit. It doesn't have an ethnicity tied to it. It's dealing with spirit to spirit. All right, so again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned in on this Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, on all of the above channels. Okay, YouTube, all right, Facebook. Okay, we are going to be going live with the hip hop group MCE. Okay, I am on a mission, okay, to debunk the lie that hip hop does not influence us. Okay, the lyrical content does influence us. Okay, I know this because I was influenced by it. Okay, even the hip hopper themselves, those MCs that say that they're not an influence, they're lying to themselves. Okay, and they're lying, to the people, because they were influenced by another MC themselves. Okay, and there's too much toxicity wrapped up in this gangster rap. Hip hop is not the problem. That is just the art form. Okay, it's the lyrical content, the degradation of our women. I have a goal to put our women back on their throne. I have a goal to put the crown back on our women's head. Okay, I have a mother. Okay, I have a wife. I have a beautiful, divinely given daughter. Okay, although, she didn't come from my seed, but she is still a gift, because I always wanted a daughter. Always wanted a daughter. And my daughter, Daisy Divine, she is my gift, and I love her dearly. And I will never, ever disrespect any of the women in my family like that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's time for us as men to cover our family. Okay, it's time for us to get rid of these mindsets. And I believe that this is going to be a catalyst for us to revolutionize it. Okay, every movement started with a person, a group of people, And just like the civil rights movement, it expanded and it became a revolutionary movement. Well, I want us to ban gangster rap. That's right. I believe it should be banned. If we want to stop the drug addiction, the alcoholism, the degradation of our women, if we want to stop all the incarcerations. Now, I'm not saying that is the only way to stop it, but I tell you what, I personally know, because I was in the industry at a lower level, okay, and I, guess what, recruited gangster rappers, and at one time, I was a part of the problem. And so my goal, while I'm still in my young years, and I still have breath in my body, is to get rid of it. Because I see the problem. I'll be 47. I seen what hip hop looked like before gangster rap, and I see it afterwards. Okay, so on this Thursday, we're going to have the group MCE come on because they are a positive, okay, hip hop group that has lyrical content that will help to educate us as a people, okay, and that will help to influence our minds in a positive way. So for my hip hop lovers, those who love hip hop, you love the art form, okay, you definitely don't want to miss it. These brothers are phenomenal. A good friend of my mind, brother Bafemi, okay, and the rest of the team, they're going to be on this Thursday, okay? And we are going to deal with it. It's called Hip Hop Reform. Please tune in. Thank you. All right. Ending on that note, we are out of here. We love you all, and we thank you all for tuning in. Peace.